A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, has always hoped that someday she would head her department. But with Mrs. Emma Finch holding down the job for the past 5 years, it didn't look like Connie Brooks would ever get a crack at it until last week.
It was right before the final exams that Mr. Conklin, our principal, told me Mrs. Finch was not only retiring from the position, but actually leaving the school. When I asked him why, he blushed and replied, because it's best for all concerned. Oddly enough, it was our bashful biology teacher, Mr. Boynton, who finally told me the reason. We were alone in his laboratory at the time, and he said, Miss Brooks, Mrs. Finch is going to have a B.A.B.Y. I guess he put it that way so as not to embarrass some young rabbits who were listening. Anyway, Friday morning at breakfast, I was talking to my landlady, Mrs. Davis, about it. Well, what do you think, Mrs. Davis? Do you suppose I'll get the job?
I can't see any reasons why you shouldn't, Connie.
Honestly? But can you see any reasons why I should, Mrs. Davis?
No, I can't see any of those either. It's up to Mr. Conklin to recommend the new department head to the Board of Education, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, how do you stand with him?
How do you mean, Mrs. Davis?
Have you been, courteous, cooperative, obedient, and, respectful?
No. And maybe I better forget the whole thing. Of course, it's not entirely up to Mr. Conklin's opinion of me personally. My work's got something to do with it, hasn't it?
Frankly, Connie, your work should have everything to do with it.
That's what I say. Maybe I better forget the whole thing.
Are there any other English teachers at Madison who have been there as long as you have?
Let's see. Yes, Miss Enright's been there about the same length of time, and she's been quite friendly with the Conklins, too. Of course, I have Mr. Conklin's daughter, Harriet, in my class, and we're great friends. Then that wouldn't influence Mr. Conklin any. Although Harriet's a pretty good pupil, thank goodness, and her marks have all been exceptionally high. That might count for something with the old... I wonder if he'll make his decision right away. He might leave the position open for a while. I wish I knew. But then there's no sense in brooding about it. I'm either to be head of the department or I'm not to be.
Oh, thanks for reminding me, Connie. I must get 2 tickets for Hamlet today. I promised my sister Angela I'd take her to see it. Of course, even if I forgot about it, she'd probably never even mention it. She's so absent-minded, poor thing. The older she gets, the more forgetful she is.
How old is she now, Mrs. Davis?
2.
Your sister.
Which one?
Angela, the absent-minded one.
Oh, she's in the low 70s.
That's pretty good golf for an old lady.
Oh, Angela's not half as bad as my brother Victor. He's so forgetful sometimes. Why, do you know, Connie, he can be talking to you about something and right in the middle of the sentence get off on another topic altogether.
Really?
Yes, it's quite disconcerting, but I guess it's just something that scrambled, boiled, or fried, Connie.
Well, I suppose you just have to... What?
Your eggs, dear. How would you like them?
I'd like them introduced into the conversation a little earlier. But now that you bring it up, Mrs. Davis, I'll take them any way you want yours.
Good. Then we'll both have oatmeal.
That's the only way to eat eggs. Whatever you do, don't miss snake pit. Where's the coffee, Mrs. Davis?
Right here, Connie. I'll pour you some.
Thanks. You know, it isn't just the extra salary that makes me so anxious to head the English department. It's the additional income.
How much of a raise will you get, Connie?
Oh, I'm not certain of the exact amount, Mrs. Davis, but it's well over $9 a month. Just think, I won't have to put newspapers in my shoes when the soles wear out. Now I can use magazine paper.
You mentioned a Miss Enright before, Connie. Is that the rather snooty teacher you told me about?
That's her, Mrs. Davis. And if she gets that job as head of the English department, she'll be impossible. Well, she walks around the school now as if she's infecting the stockyards. The way she talks to people. Why, darling, you look positively chic. I mean, just too terribly soigné. It's sickening.
Oh, then don't eat any more oatmeal, dear. Just finish your coffee.
You've been derailed again, Mrs. Davis. Let me help you back on the track. I'm talking about Miss Enright, a rival English teacher. She's got me worried.
Oh, don't worry about her, Connie. I'm sure her baby will be a fine, healthy specimen.
She isn't the one who's going to have the baby, Mrs. Davis.
Well, that's a shame. I think the mother should always take care of her own baby, no matter what.
It's Mrs. Finch who's having the baby.
Who?
Mrs. Finch.
Oh, well, that's a very nice name for a baby. Now, if you'll excuse me, Connie, I'd better clean up the dishes.
All right, Mrs. Davis, you clean up the dishes, and I'll clean up the conversation by myself. I'd help you in the kitchen, but I've got to get ready to go to school. Walter Denton's picking me up any minute.
Oh, Walter's such a nice boy. It's a pity he's not a more brilliant student. But I think I know what his trouble is, Connie. Lack of concentration.
Concentration?
Yes. If he would just concentrate on one subject at a time. You see, he's the kind of a boy who... Well, he's the type that... Connie?
Yes?
What were we talking about?
Walter Denton.
Oh, he's picking you up this morning, isn't he? What happened to your car, Connie? You just got it out of the repair shop.
I know, Mrs. Davis, but I took it out the night of the big freeze.
And?
It froze. I did try to warm it up a little. I poured some boiling water into the radiator, but then the engine made the strangest sound.
What kind of a sound, Connie?
Well, I may be wrong, Mrs. Davis, but I'd swear it said, "Why don't you get yourself a bicycle?" I'm glad you picked me up a little early this morning, Walter. Today may be a very important day in my life.
Well, the importance of today or any day in your life, Miss Brooks, is only exceeded by your importance to your adoring pupils, of which, if I may be so bold, I consider myself one of the most worshipful and reverent.
Amen. Thank you, Walter.
There are things about you, Miss Brooks, character traits, I guess you'd call them, which are not to be found in any other teachers I've ever come into contact with. I just know that you are an eminently fair person. I also know that you're kind, gentle, and considerate of those who may not possess a superior mentality, which is obviously your birthright.
What else do you know, Walter?
That today you're giving us the final exams in English.
I thought you were a little oversmitten with me this morning.
Oh, I'm not trying to influence you to give me a better mark. Oh, no, I'd bend over backwards rather than curry favor. But I've actually studied for this test, Miss Brooks. Even Saturday, when Harriet dragged me to the movies, I took my books right up to the balcony with me.
What were you studying, Romeo and Juliet?
You're kidding me, Miss Brooks, but I'm serious. I really crammed in that movie.
But how could you read in the dark?
Oh, it isn't always dark. And they have a 3-minute intermission between pictures.
Well, that's plenty of time, especially if you were studying in shorthand.
Of course, not knowing exactly what the questions are going to be about makes it a little tougher.
Naturally.
It's sort of a strain on a student not to know approximately the nature of the questions he should expect.
That's true.
And just because a student has been fortunate enough to make a personal contact with a teacher whom he not only admires and respects as a person, but whose integrity and honesty as an instructor he holds in such high esteem, is no reason for him to presume that just because he drives her to school faithfully and promptly, she would relinquish just one tiny iota of that integrity and slip him a little advance information about the test. Is it?
You're so right, Walter.
I knew you'd react that way, Miss Brooks, but I just wouldn't have felt completely honest with myself if I didn't try to chisel a tip or two. Anyway, now that you've dummied up about the tests, maybe we...
Excuse me, Walter. Now that I've what?
Dummied up. It's a synonym of clammed up. When I don't want anyone to know something about something I know about, I always clam up.
And you're the chowderhead who can do it. But, Walter, when I mentioned much earlier in the trip that this was an important day, I wasn't referring to the final exam.
You weren't?
No, I was thinking of Mrs. Finch.
Oh, the head of the English department.
The ex-head of the English department, Walter. Mrs. Finch is leaving Madison.
Why?
Because she's... Well, Mrs. Finch is going to become a mother.
Of who?
Now, that's a fair question. Of her son or daughter, as the case may be.
I didn't know Mrs. Finch had any son or daughter.
Walter, you're not related to Mrs. Davis, are you? Oh, no. No, of course not. She's just absent-minded. Look, Walter, what concerns me at the moment is whether or not I have a chance to replace Mrs. Finch as head of the department.
A chance? Why, you're a standout, Miss Brooks. You've been teaching at Madison long enough to be the principal. I mean, Mr. Conklin should certainly choose you over anybody else.
How about Miss Enright?
Oh, gee, I forgot about her. Now, she's even older than you are, isn't she? Oh, in point of service, that is.
Oh, I'm glad you tagged that on, Walter. Nobody could be older than me in years. Not this morning, anyway.
Now, don't you worry about it, Miss Brooks. So why don't you see Mr. Conklin when we get to school and have a little chat with him? You know, turn on the charm, sort of.
You mean butter him up?
Butter him up?
Yes, and don't sound so innocent, Walter. After the job you did on me this morning, you should get a prize from the Dairymen's Association.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith.
Regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care, doctors prove you, too, may win a lovelier complexion with Palmolive soap.
But to win this lovelier complexion, you must stop improper cleansing. Instead, use Palmolive the way doctors advised.
36 doctors, leading skin specialists, advised using Palmolive soap this way for 1,285 women with all types of skin. Young, old, dry, oily, normal. And using Palmolive soap alone, nothing but Palmolive, 2 out of 3 won lovelier complexions. Oily skin looked less oily. Dull, drab skin wonderfully brighter. Coarse-looking skin appeared finer. Even tiny blemishes, incipient blackheads, disappeared or improved. Now, here's what the doctors advised.
Wash your face with Palmolive soap 3 times a day. Massage with Palmolive's wonderful beauty lather for 60 seconds each time to get its full beautifying effect. Then rinse.
Look for improvement in your complexion within 14 days. For doctors prove this way, using Palmolive alone really works. So forget all other beauty care. Get Palmolive soap and start today to win a lovelier complexion.
For loveliness all over, use big, thrifty bath size Palmolive in your tub or shower.
Well, here we are, Miss Brooks. Good old Madison High. You know, every time I look at these hallowed walls, I wish for just one thing.
What's that, Walter?
I wish I was still home in bed. Especially today with those finals coming up. Gosh, Miss Brooks, isn't there some little suggestions you could make to me so I'd pass the exam?
Certainly there is, Walter. Answer the questions correctly.
Yeah. Well, you better get off here, Miss Brooks, and I'll go park the car.
All right, Walter. Thanks for the lift. And good luck today.
Oh, thank you, Miss Brooks. And good luck with Mr. Conklin.
Yeah, I'll probably need it. I hope he's in a good mood this morning. Although why this morning should be any better...
Miss Brooks.
Oh, it's Harriet Conklin. Good morning, Harriet.
I wouldn't have interrupted your soliloquy, but you look sort of worried about something.
Worried? Me? Whatever gave you that idea?
Your complexion. It's not as ruddy as it usually is.
Oh, that's just from the new powder base I'm using. It's called Elephant Wallow Gray. Actually, though, I do have something on what's left of my mind, Harriet. It's Mrs. Finch. She's leaving the school.
Yes, I know. I heard she was going to have a B.A.B.Y.
Who told you?
Mr. Boynton.
That figures. But, Harriet, as you must know, you've always been one of my favorite pupils.
I'm glad you feel that way, Miss Brooks. You're my very favorite teacher.
Thanks. I'm very fond of your mother, too.
I know. And she's terribly fond of you, Miss Brooks.
I'm glad. Then there's your father.
Yes, I know.
Well, Harriet, do you think that I was going to... Well, that is...
Well, what are you trying to ask me, Miss Brooks?
Do you think he's warm enough for buttering this morning? At least, do you think I should have a little talk with him in his office?
About what?
Well, somebody's got to replace Mrs. Finch as head of the English department, and I figured...
But of course you'll get it.
Is that from the horse's mouth or just rumor? I mean, did you happen to overhear anything that... Look, Harriet, I don't want anybody to intercede for me because of any personal relationship we may have built up between us. What I'm trying to say is, well, I wouldn't want any principal's daughter, not even a clever, bright, pretty, industrious, talented, intelligent one like yourself, to become a fifth column for me.
Golly, Miss Brooks, nothing I could say would sway Daddy 1 inch. In fact, Mother and I bend over backwards rather than suggest anything about his duties at school. But I'm so sure you're our next head of the English department that I've even written a little poem about it. Care to hear it?
Well, if you don't think it'll put the whammy on me. Jinx anything.
To the head of the English department about to be, I present this little tribute to you from me. In class, you're good-tempered and don't fume or fret. And when it comes to our homework, you sure make us perspire. And in the forthcoming exams, whether I'm first or last, my feelings for you will be the same, especially if I've passed. So, Miss Brooks, all hail to the head of the English department about to be. Well, what do you think of it, Miss Brooks?
It won't send Carl Sandburg screaming into the hills, Harriet. It's a lovely sentiment. Now, before I go into your father's lair, office, do tell me what kind of a mood he's in.
Frankly, Miss Brooks, it isn't too good. When the newsboy that delivers our paper came around for the money this morning, Daddy bit his head off.
Fine. Then he should be too full to take a bite out of me.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks.
And how are you this bright, cheery, radiant day?
I'm cold, damp, and depressed. Now, what can I do for you that won't take longer than a few minutes?
Oh, it isn't what you can do for me, Mr. Conklin. It's what can I do for you. Oh, I know. I'll sharpen some pencils for you. Here's one.
Miss Brooks, I don't want you to sharpen any
but this one is so blunty. It'll just take a minute. There. Isn't that a lovely point?
But I don't...
Give me your thumb a minute.
Ow!
See what I mean? Now, I'll just do a few more of them, and you'll have enough for the week.
Confound it, Miss Brooks. I don't want any more of my pencil sharp.
Oh, it's really no trouble at all, Mr. Conklin. This is just one of those days when a person feels privileged to assist his fellow man. A day when the spirit of cooperation seems to beckon like a beacon.
Or a day when Mrs. Finch is leaving Madison and her position as head of the English department.
Mrs. Finch leaving Madison?
Yes. Yes, Miss Brooks. I think I told you that several days ago.
Oh, yes, of course. I've been so busy preparing my final examination papers, it must have slipped my mind. She's going to have a B.A.B.Y., isn't she?
Y.E.S. Yes. She is going to have a baby.
Well, I just know they'll be happy together. Now, let's see what else I can do to make this office a home away from home for you. I know. I'll just rinse out this pen wiper for you.
That happens to be a blue pocket handkerchief I got for Christmas. Fallen out of my coat.
Oh, then I'll tuck it back in for you. May I say you have a lovely eye for color combinations, Mr. Conklin? It goes so well with this pretty purple tie you've got on. But it seems a little loose around your neck. Let me tighten it a bit. There.
Miss Brooks!
There, that's better. Now you're both the same color.
See here, Miss Brooks. I don't know what you expect to get
Oh,
from
I
us.
must clean off that desk of yours, Mr. Conklin. And why in the world does that big open inkwell have to be perched right in the middle of everything?
Because I like it that way. Now, listen to me, young.
I'll have things in shape in no time. First, we'll move these papers next to the inkwell, and then... Oh.
Now, where is the inkwell perched, Miss Brooks?
Oh, don't worry about that, Mr. Conklin. Ink is good for the rug. Or is that ashes? Well, anyway, I'll go get a mop and...
Sit down, Miss Brooks.
Sit down?
Yes. As you know, I spent considerable time in the Army as a major.
Yes, I know, Mr. Conklin. And it always gave me a great feeling of security to know that somebody like you...
Quiet!
Yes, sir. Sorry.
At ease. Now then, Miss Brooks, from my Army experience, it's obvious to me that you are bucking for something.
Bucking, Mr. Conklin?
It's a colloquialism, Miss Brooks. It means that in order to gain some end of your own, you are acting like an eager beaver.
Want some pencil sharpened?
No!
Tell you the truth, Mr. Conklin, I just wanted to butter you up.
Now what? Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin.
Well, it's Miss Enright.
Oh, and Miss Brooks is here, too. How nice. Darling, you look positively chic. I mean, just too terribly soigné.
Thanks, loads.
But what are you doing in school so early, darling? You're usually tearing into your room like a mad thing minutes after the bell is rung.
You must have telescopic vision to see me from the bus you're just catching at that time.
What can I do for you, Miss Enright?
Oh, it isn't what you can do for me, Mr. Conklin. It's
what can I do for you?
Oh, I know. I'll sharpen some pencils for you, Mr. Conklin.
Thanks, just the same, Miss Enright.
Or maybe I can straighten out your desk. Oh, heavens, what happened to this inkwell?
I already straightened out his desk.
Well, don't worry about it, Mr. Conklin. I'm sure you can pick up another rug like that for $500 or $600. Oh, before I forget, I'd like you to have these woolen socks. I knitted them myself.
But, Miss Enright,
It was a labor of love, Mr. Conklin. I worked on these socks just every available moment I wasn't faithfully discharging my duties as an English teacher. They're merely a slight expression of my gratitude for having been granted the privilege of working for such a warm, kindly, and considerate boss as yourself.
This kid melted before she spreads it on.
Thank you for the thought, Miss Enright, but with Mrs. Finch leaving Madison... and a number of...
Is she really? Well, this is a big surprise.
It must be. You look even more surprised than you did when we heard about it last Tuesday.
That will do, Miss Brooks. Miss Enright, in view of the fact that you are eligible for the position that Mrs. Finch is relinquishing, I feel that I cannot accept this pair of socks.
But, Mr. Conklin, whatever shall I do with him?
You can give one to Mrs. Finch's baby. It'll make a nice sleeping bag for him.
I think you should know, ladies, that my selection will be based largely upon the results your students achieve in their final exams this morning. Therefore, you will not mark your own papers, but bring them into this office immediately after the tests are completed.
Are you going to mark them, Mr. Conklin?
Certainly not, Miss Brooks. My daughter Harriet is one of the students taking the test. No, in order to assure complete impartiality, I've asked someone from another department to correct the papers. Mr. Boynton.
Mr. Boynton?
Oh, I know that you see each other socially on occasion, but he's the soul of honesty. And I know that he, like myself, would bend over backwards to see that justice is done.
Who's teaching everybody to bend over backwards, Arthur Murray?
Well, I don't think this arrangement is completely fair, Mr. Conklin. I never see Mr. Boynton.
Well, if it'll make you feel any better, Miss Enright, I'm not going to see him again either, until lunch.
If you'll just tell me what you want, Miss Brooks, I'll take your tray.
No, I'm too nervous to eat anything right now, Mr. Boynton. I'll wait until I find out the result of this morning's exam. The one you're marking, Mr. Boynton.
Oh. Well, that's something I'd rather not talk about, Miss Brooks. You see, I promised Mr. Conklin...
I know you've got to be strictly impartial, Mr. Boynton, but couldn't you give me just an inkling of how I'm making out?
But I gave my word, Miss Brooks.
Just a teensy suggestion of the merest trace of a breath of a hint.
But I gave Mr. Conklin my Scout's honor.
Well, then you might as well get yourself something to eat.
Oh, very well, Miss Brooks.
I hope you swallow a merit badge.
There you are, dear Mr. Boynton.
Oh, hello, Miss Enright.
May I share this table with you? The cafeteria is awfully crowded today.
Oh, I don't see why not, Miss Enright.
I do.
Hello, darling. Oh, Mr. Boynton, before I forget, I'd like you to have these woolen socks. I knitted them especially for you.
I don't think I should, Miss Enright. You see, I'm still judging your examination papers, but, well, thanks just the same. Now, if you'll tell me what you'd like to eat.
Well, let me see. Oh, I see they have turkey today. Would you get me a drumstick, Mr. Boynton?
Why don't you get 2 drumsticks and put the socks on them?
Miss Brooks, Miss Enright, I've summoned you to my office to tell you that Mr. Boynton has finished grading the examination papers and has reported to me that both of your classes have done equally well. Therefore, it will have to be my decision after all.
And that decision is, dear Mr. Conklin?
I have decided...
Yes, dear Mr. Conklin.
I have decided that for the coming fiscal year, I shall save the Board of Education exactly $9.85 per month. There will be no head of the English department in this school.
Why, darling, what in the world are you doing?
Just breaking some of the pencils I sharpened this morning.
Miss Brooks returns in just a moment, but first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you K-Dumat's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Gives loveliness lather even in hardest water. Glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen. Soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo and be a
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, I was a little depressed about not getting the job as head of the English department, but I perked up the following night when Mr. Boynton came by and took me to the movies. As we got to the theater, he stepped up to the box office.
2 tickets, please.
Here, Mr. Boynton, let me buy my own ticket.
Why, Miss Brooks, I wouldn't think of it.
Well, that's very nice.
You can pay me for yours when we get inside.
Thank you, and good night, Diamond Jim Boynton.
Tune into another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written and directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Gloria McMillan, and Mary Jane Croft.
Here's good shaving news. 3 men out of every 4 can get more comfortable, actually smoother shaves with Palmolive Brushless Shaving Cream. This is not just a claim. Here's the proof. 1,297 men tried the Palmolive Brushless way to shave described on the tube. And no matter how they shaved before, 3 men out of every 4 got more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Try Palmolive Brushless yourself. See if you don't get more comfortable, actually smoother shaves the proved Palmolive Brushless way.
Here is an important message that concerns all of us. Last year, 26,000 children were stricken by infantile paralysis. All of us can help fight infantile paralysis by joining the March of Dimes now. Send your dimes and dollars to your local March of Dimes headquarters. Don't put it off. Join the March of Dimes today.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evenings over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
I'd rather have a Raleigh.
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 Because Raleighs are right. Right for taste and right for throat. From Hollywood, the Raleigh Cigarette Program, starring Red Skelton with David Forrester and his orchestra, our singing star, Anita Ellis, Gigi Pearson, Verna Felton, Pat McGee, and our guest, Wonderful Smith, and yours truly, Rod O'Connor. It's a pleasure to bring you Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's popular comedian and the star of the Raleigh Cigarette Program, Red Skelton.
Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hello, Red. What do you know?
I don't know nothing. What do you know?
I don't know nothing.
Well, what do you know? Nothing like good material. I wish we had some. All of our jokes are new tonight. All new jokes.
Really, all new jokes, Red?
Yeah, tonight the corn is green. Say, what's new this week, Rod?
Well, they hit the moon.
They what?
They hit the moon.
Must have been a woman driver. Hey, I don't know much about the moon. Tell me, does the moon rotate around the sun?
Yes, Red, all planets revolve around the sun.
Boy, Los Angeles really takes a detour, don't it, huh? It's interesting, though. I wonder what the moon really is.
Well, I've heard several definitions, but I think it's a cold, clammy, lifeless body that glares down at us.
Oh, sort of like an income tax collector, huh?
Well, not to change the subject, Red.
I wish you would, really.
But I'd like to say your trip to Las Vegas last week did you good. You look fresh as a flower. A potted one.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. He said to me, let's put that joke in for a laugh. Where is it, Doc? I'll never take another trip across that desert, though. It took me 5 days.
5 days? Why, it's only 200 miles.
Yeah, I can only travel at night, though. My thumb's sunburned so easily.
Well, did you see Boulder Dam?
Yes, I took my father to get his mind off of drinking, you know.
Really? And it helped?
No, he took one look at Boulder Dam and he says, look, no wonder you can't get a chaser. They're holding it back. I saw a Papa Beaver talking to about 20 little baby beavers. He got them all together and he says, look, kids, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Well, it was pretty crowded in Las Vegas. Tell me, Red, what did you do about finding a place to stay?
Well, I finally told the mayor that I was tired of sleeping in the park.
Yeah, what did he say?
Nothing. He just laughed and lay back down on the bench and went to sleep again.
But where did you stay, Red?
At the Last Frontier Hotel. That's really a nice place. They have gambling there, you know.
Really?
Yes. In case you ever go there, notice that white flag over the hotel. That's my shirt.
Well, say, I noticed a beautiful hat box in your dressing room. Something good inside?
Yes, it's a present for Anita Ellis.
Oh, a present for me, Red?
Yes, Anita, but I'm a little nervous about giving it to you.
Oh, why, Red?
Well, you know how women are. You give them something and then they get all mushy and want to kiss you, you know.
Oh, Red, I don't think I'm like that.
You not? You mean I carry that thing all the way up here for nothing? Well, now here's Raleigh's Rod O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, medical science offers you proof positive. Yes, medical science offers you proof Positive. No other leading cigarette is safer to smoke because no other gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars than the new, smoother, better-tasting Raleigh. Yes, Raleighs are right. Right for taste. Right for throat. For medical science now offers you proof positive. No other cigarette gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars, so no other is safer to smoke. Next time, ask for Raleighs.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now lovely Anita Ellis sings Some Sunday Morning.
Some Sunday morning is going to be some Sunday morning for someone and me. Bells will be chiming an old melody, especially for someone and me. There'll be an organ playing, friends and relations will stare. Can't you hear them saying, gee, what a peach of a pair. Some Sunday morning we'll walk down the aisle. He'll be so nervous and I'll try to smile. Things sure look rosy for someone and me. Some Sunday morning you'll see. There'll be an organ playing, friends and relations will stare. Gee, can't you hear them saying, oh, what a peach of a pair. Some Sunday morning we'll walk down the aisle. He'll be so nervous and I'll try to smile. Things sure look rosy for someone and me. Some beautiful Sunday morning you see.
Thank you very much. Tonight we open the Skelton Scrapbook of Satire to a story entitled Looking for Trouble. Our characters are fictional. If there's any similarity to persons living, they should go down to the morgue and give themselves up. Chapter 81 of Looking for Trouble is entitled The Man Who Stole My Gal. This is the story of Deadeye and his long search for Gentleman Jim Harkins, the man who ran away with his girl, Margie the Clipper. It's midwinter in Montana. The blizzard is raging. Boy, it's a beaut. Montana, that is. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, come on, horse boy! There. You okay, wonderful?
Yeah, but Deadeye, why go to all this trouble to get even with some critter who stole your gal?
Why? Didn't you ever fall in love?
No, but I fell in a river once. That's the same thing. You get soaked either way. Well, Deadeye, I'm turning back.
Turning back? Is that all our friendship means?
No, Mr. Deadeye. You know I'd face death for you.
Oh, yeah? Then how come you ran when that grizzly bear challenged it?
He wasn't dead, was he?
Well, I gotta find Gentleman Jim Harkins, the guy that stole my gal.
Well, let's look in California.
California? What's that?
That's a place where you get hit by a woman driver and you take a sunbath while waiting for an ambulance.
Oh. There's an ambulance. There's people up in these mountains. I can hear them. Look, there's a cabin just ahead of it. Let's inquire in there, and if they ain't seen my gal and Gentleman Jim, then we'll head for California.
Okay.
Come on, let's race for the cabin. Ooh, it was a tie.
Yeah, but I would have won if I'd have hit a horse.
Yeah. I'll go up and knock on the door here. Howdy, pal.
Hey, what did you follow me up here for, Deadeye?
Stop playing the piano with you, gal. Talk to me.
I said, what did you follow me up here for?
Because I can't live without you, gal.
So why can't you live without me?
Because you got all my money, gal. It's good to see you again, gal. Come on and sit on my lap. Here, pull up a knee and sit down.
Okay. Still bow-legged as ever, ain't you?
Yeah, I've been that way ever since I swallowed that chicken wishbone. I'm proud of that. That's Why don't you come back to the Flathead County with me, gal?
It's no use, Deadeye. Gentleman Jim Hawkins, he's promised me a love nest.
Well, you go with me, I'll give you some Snickers. After all, why should the girl in the balcony have all of them, you know? How about kissing me, gal?
No, Deadeye, I don't want a kiss.
Why not?
I'd rather have a Raleigh.
Yeah. Who's that?
Uh-oh. Deadeye. Jim Hawkins just rode up.
Uh-oh.
I thought I recognized your horse, Deadeye. Stand back, gal.
Here's a cowboy that's seen too many of them Errol Flynn pictures.
Deadeye, why don't you let us be? Maggie the Clipper and I are as happy as two bugs in a rug.
Well, you better pull in your ears, because my gun's is loaded with DDT.
Don't shoot me, Deadeye. You can have your gal.
Gentleman Jim, you ain't no gentleman. You're so yellow you could give transfusions to bananas.
Yeah. Well, that skins me. I'm proud of that. Why don't we be fair and square about this, huh? We'll fight a duel for her hand.
Very well. Count three and we'll both draw.
Now, he ought to know better than that. Okay, come outside.
Very well, Deadeye. There, take that.
Why, you didn't even give Deadeye a chance.
Yeah, I'm done for, gal. I'm on my way to that cabin in the sky.
Oh, Deadeye. Deadeye, you can't go to that cabin in the sky yet, because I love you.
Oh, goodbye, gal. Roll me over on my face. I don't want to see where I'm really going. You better go in. I'm proud of that. You better go inside out of the cold, gal.
Gentleman Jim, we're through.
Well, I didn't know you loved him so much.
Come in.
Howdy, folks.
Deadeye, I thought you were going to that cabin in the sky.
They wouldn't let me in.
Why?
No vacancies up there either. Chapter 82. Thank you. Chapter 82 is entitled, I've Been Insulted. When a girl has been insulted, she usually looks for her man to fight to protect her honor. If she can find him, it's usually Clem Cadiddlehopper. Well, here I am. Some Sunday morning. I wonder if Sarah Dew's all alone. I'll just sneak up to the door and listen for a minute. No, I'd better stop that listening. I'm beginning to hear things. She's home.
Well, howdy, Clem.
Well, Sarah Dew, howdy doody to you, too. Sure is a nice day today, ain't it? The sun got back from Florida early this year, didn't it? Say, what did you want to see me about?
Well, Clem, people are talking.
Well, of course they're talking. What do you expect them to do, Bart? That's too fast for her. She didn't get it.
Well, what's this I hear about you and the Widow Brown?
It's a lie. I don't even know the woman. And that's a lie, too.
Moron.
Yes, and medical science can give you proof positive. I'm proud of that.
Well, you took that widow to the movies the other night, didn't you?
I did not. She took me.
Well,
Did you hold her hand?
I sure did.
Why?
She was snitching my popcorn.
Well, tell me truly, Clem, have you ever kissed her?
Only on the cheek.
Well, you sure it wasn't her lips?
Well, she was grinning a little at the time. Hey, wait a minute. Who told you I took her to the movies?
Well, I heard it at the drugstore. A fella said, "There goes that Sarah Do, and she plays second fiddle for Clem Cadiddlehopper."
I didn't even know you had a union card.
Look, Clem, either you make that blabbermouth apologize or we are through.
Really? Well, then come on. I'll go down and make him take it back. I won't stand for that atoll. Atoll I won't stand for.
You're going the wrong way.
Sometimes my feet's a lot smarter than I am. Now, come on, let's go. Now, let's go.
Well, here's the drugstore. Oh, and there is the feller who insulted me.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll take care of him right now. Come here, you.
Hey, put me down.
Yeah, I'll put you down. What's this talk you started about me?
Well,
I'm going to beat you to a pulp. You're the type of a guy I can handle.
You put me down.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say it.
He didn't?
No. Now put that midget down.
Well, if he didn't say it, who said it?
That big feller, he's the one. Go on, Clem, make him take it back.
Him?
Huh?
Oh, surely he didn't say it.
Well, yes, he did. Yes, he did, didn't you? Didn't you say Clem was a two-timer?
Yes, I did, and don't start anything or I'll knock you conscious. Come on, put up your mitts.
Now, look, I'll give you one last chance to apologize.
I apologize to you, you lily-livered, chicken-hearted nincompoop.
Well, that's mighty decent of you.
Yes, if you don't hit him, I'm just through with you.
You heard her.
Now, look, dog meat, go home and play with your toys or I'll slap your face.
You slap my face and I'll bite your fingers off. I'll bite your fingers off, you slap me.
Oh, you will!
Yes, sir, I'll gum them off, I will.
Now, medical science offers you proof positive. Yes, medical science offers you proof positive.
No other leading cigarette is safer to smoke because no other gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars than the new, smoother, better-tasting Raleigh.
Myron Nelson, America's #1 golfer, says, quote,
"It's true. I've seen the certified test with my own eyes. Medical science has proved no other cigarette gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars, thus is actually safer to smoke. Raleigh's must be right. Right for taste, right for throat."
You're right, Byron Nelson. Raleigh's are right. Exhaustive scientific tests of America's 6 biggest-selling brands, certified by 14 distinguished doctors, including eminent throat specialists, have proved conclusively no other cigarette gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars, so no other is safer to smoke. See if you don't agree, Raleigh's are right. Right for taste, right for throat. Try Raleigh's. Enjoy Raleigh's rich tobacco, that milder, smoother, more satisfying Raleigh flavor. Remember, medical science now offers you proof positive.
No other leading cigarette is safer to smoke because no other gives you less nicotine, less throat-irritating tars than the new, smoother, better-tasting Raleigh.
And now David Forrester and his orchestra plays Tumbling Weeds. Chapter 83 of Looking for Trouble is entitled, Time to Go to Bed, Kiddies. When a child is reminded that it's bedtime, there's usually a little trouble. But with the little child psychology, it can be handled pretty nicely. With everyone except the mean little kid.
Junior, you'd better come in now. It's time all good little boys were in bed.
Well, that's what they get for being good, you know. I will come in. Wait till I get me wagon here. Pull me wagon.
Oh, wait a minute, Junior. You can't bring that wagon in the house.
Why not?
It isn't yours.
Not sure. I got it from the widow kid next door. You know, widow deal I cook up at my wagon.
What did you give him for it?
He was happy with the whole deal, you know.
What did you give him for it?
A black eye.
Come, hurry upstairs and take your bath and get ready for bed.
Okay. I'm going to take a bath.
Now what happened?
The door was ajar. Now me poor little nose is a jam. Hey, Grandma, how long will it be before I'm old enough I don't have to take baths no more?
Never.
Kind of a dull outlook, ain't it, huh?
The bath is ready. Stop wasting time or the water in the tub will get cold.
Okay, I will play Johnny Weissmuller. I will run and dive into the water. Here I go. Who pulled that stuff around? I better fill the tub up again. I better fill the tub full of water. Oh, you didn't take no hot water.
Are you taking a bath?
Yes, don't come in. I got nothing on. Don't come in.
Well, put your pajamas on and get out of there.
Okay. Goodness, everywhere you go these days, peeping Toms, you know. And I did want to lay in the bubble bath and sort of soak a widow, too, you know. Now, I'll get my pajamas on. Now I will get out of here.
Look at you. You're soaking wet.
Well, you said put on me widow pajamas and get out of there.
Junior, you don't put your pajamas on in the tub.
Now she tells me.
My goodness, you're still dirty.
Huh?
Didn't you use any soap?
Yes, I did, but the way I use it lasts longer. I leave the wrappers on.
Get into these dry pajamas and get into bed.
Okay, I am sleepy, but I will try. Just for you, I will try.
Meow, meow, meow. Now what are you doing?
I'm taking a cat nap.
Junior.
Grandma.
Are you going to lie down or do I have to tie the rope?
No, I think the change will hold me okay. Well, good night. Grandma.
No, you can't have a drink of water.
Well, what is this? Information, please? Wait for the question.
What do you want?
I'm thirsty.
You're just stalling, Junior. Either you're going to sleep or you aren't going to get any of that pie I baked for tomorrow.
Banana pie?
Yes.
With whipped cream?
Yes.
Nice, fresh bananas?
Yes.
Never touch this. Gotta watch me weight, you know. Gotta watch me weight.
Junior, be quiet.
What?
Did you hear that noise?
No. You think they heard us? Now, you don't you scare me. Now, I ain't scared.
Now, nothing will get you.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
They wouldn't kiss you when they saw who they had.
Yes. You sure does love me, and it might be a stranger. They won't keep me, too.
Granny wouldn't let anything get
Yes,
you.
it would. You scared me.
Don't be frightened. There.
There, I'm fine.
Bless his little heart.
Yeah, bless his little heart.
It's all right. It's only the man next door.
Now, that's what I figured, but don't you think I handle this dramatic stuff pretty well?
Oh, go to sleep.
Okay. Hey, Grandma, why does that man next door come out every night and look up in the sky for, huh?
He's a student of astronomy. He's studying the stars.
Oh, I want to see stars.
You see plenty if you don't go to sleep.
Well, can I have the glass of water first?
Oh, get it yourself. Do anything you like. Grow up to be an idiot. And stay away from that pie.
Okay. Trusting old soul, ain't she? Oh, boy, I'm off to the kitchen. Now, I wonder where that pie could be. I wonder if it's just up here on this shelf here. I would take a little...
Junior, what happened?
What?
What happened?
I broke the crystal in me Mickey Mouse watch. Let's see what's up on this next shelf here. Oh, a mousetrap! Whew, boy, that cheese. Boy, that sure is strong, ain't it? Whew, boy, I bet them old mice have to back up to that stuff. Oh, there's the pie. Oh, there. I wonder if I could take a nice big hunk. Grandma might get mad, you know. And then again, she might say that little kid was hungry and it's okay. And then again, I don't know why I was wasting my time thinking about it. I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, boy. Boy, that sure is good. My eyes is bigger than my tummy, though. I can't put this back because Grandma would smell a two-legged rat named Junior. I just throw it out the window. Oh, that man standing there. Sounds like a bullseye, doesn't it? Oh, dear, he shouldn't have been standing there. I think he saw me. I better get sleepy and get to bed real quick. Well, good night, Grandma. Good night.
Aren't you going to say your prayers?
I said them on the way upstairs.
You think they'll be answered?
Not now, no.
Junior, now see if you can go to sleep.
If that's for me, I'm going to be born next week,
Oh, probably someone got pie-eyed and has the wrong house.
If he's pie-eyed, he got the right house.
Yes?
Where is that little grandson of yours?
He's in bed.
With indigestion, no doubt. Look at my suit.
I wouldn't be seen in it. Why don't you have it cleaned?
I'm going to, and you're going to get the bill.
Hey, what's all the noise about? Kind of widow fellow get some sleep around
Do
here?
you mind telling me what this is all about?
I was standing under your window looking up at the stars. Suddenly I turned to look at the Big Dipper, but it wasn't the Dipper. It was that kid's hand with a big hunk of pie in it.
Do tell.
Why did you hit me with that pie?
Oh, you wanted a drink of water, eh? Junior, come here.
No, I don't want to. Don't whip me. I will be good.
Now, get to bed.
I don't know what it is with me. I don't have a care or a worry in the world. But every night I cry myself to sleep.
And remember, we'll all be with you on every Tuesday night at the same time. Red Skelton, David Forrester and his orchestra, Anita Ellis, Verna Felton, Gigi Pearson, Pat McGee, and yours truly, Rod O'Connor. Until next Tuesday, then.
This is Red Skelton saying goodbye now, and thanks for listening. And listen to Bob Hope next week when he presents the Look Magazine Award. And remember, the March of Dimes. Goodbye now.
Remember, listen to Hildegard tomorrow night, and The People Are Funny with Art Linkletter Friday night over most of these stations. Red Skelton has heard in this program through the courtesy of Metro Golden Air.
Sir Walter Raleigh. That's the tobacco that leaves your pipe as clean as a whistle. It's carefully blended from rich, ripe burleys and mellowed with just a touch of rum to enhance the natural, full-bodied flavor. And Sir Walter Raleigh burns cool and even, right down to the bottom of the bowl. Leaves a clean, dry ash in your pipe. Get Sir Walter Raleigh, the quality pipe tobacco of America.
Red Skelton is brought to you by the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Corporation. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Well, sir, it's a few minutes past 9 o'clock in the evening as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here in the living room we find Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook abiding quietly at home. They've been playing rummy for the last hour or so, and the game has begun to take on a sluggish, lackluster quality. Listen.
I win.
Let's see your cards. Sure you win. Got 3 queens, 3 deuces, and a 4, 5, 6, and 7 of hearts.
Why, there was interest in rummies after about so long a time. The spades start resembling clubs.
You any quit?
Would you just as soon?
All right. Not much kick to the game when your opponent's half asleep.
I am a little tired. Too early to go to bed?
Courthouse clock struck 9 about 5 minutes ago.
I bet I sleep so sound tonight you could send my undershirt to Detroit, Michigan Parcel Post.
Paper states showers sometime before morning. I hope they hurry along and cool things off.
Oh. We'll deal out a few more rummies. Might as well be doing something.
Okay.
Kind of funny that Davis boy storming in here this evening, wasn't it?
I've learned that there's nothing extraordinary in the most ununderstandable behavior on the part of 14-year-old boys. Being the father of a 14-year-old boy, I'm tutored in all
Here's your 14-year-old boy now. Raj?
Hi.
Here's a beautiful bouquet of tickets for you, Charlie.
Thanks. Hope I can tell the hearts from the clubs.
The hearts are red, the club's black.
I mean the diamonds from the spades. After so many rummies, I get so I can't keep my mind on what I'm doing.
Davis didn't disturb you when he come after Rotten Suitcase a while ago, did he?
Not too much. Of course, I had to climb upstairs after.
Well, it helped along the excitement. By George, I never enjoyed such high-class excitement in my life.
What excitement do you have reference to, Sunburn?
Center Street.
Has there been excitement on Center Street? I'm discarding the 6 of clubs.
I can use it in my business. I beat your father 3 times in a row.
And didn't Rooster explain?
Explain what?
About Center Street.
No, what about it?
Rooster never said a word.
He come to the door all out of breath and wanted that big old imitation leather suitcase you borrowed off of his brother. Gov went after it, and he grabbed it and was gone.
Well, I'll be darned.
Why? What happened on Center Street?
A house collapsed.
Ah.
You telling the truth, you don't know about it?
We've been sitting here playing cards ever since around 7:30.
Never heard no noise? Never heard no people yelling?
Never heard a sound. Telephone hasn't even rung. Except for Rooster storming in, it's been quiet as my thumb.
Beats the Dutch.
A house collapsed, you say, Temple Bells?
Yeah.
I collapsed one time myself. I was on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio, where I just officiated at a wedding ceremony. After kissing the bride, I pocketed the $5 bill given me by the bridegroom and prepared...
You know that place in the 300 block on South Center with the second-story porch that runs clear around the whole house?
Has it got fragile hedgerows and morning glories and a solid gold belfry which catches a dazzling...
Give me a show, Gov. That place collapsed this evening.
Here's a 9 of spades, Sadie. I trust it.
You were talking about that big boarding house-looking place, Willie.
Sure. It collapsed at 8 o'clock.
What you mean by collapsed?
Fell down.
Ah, a great big mud.
The whole thing didn't fall down. Just that second-story veranda fell down. But to look at it, you'd think the entire house had been hit by a cyclone.
That's the truth?
If it's not the truth, you can send my undershirt to St. Paul, Minnesota, cash on delivery. If it's not the truth...
Was anybody hurt?
Not a soul. And it's the luckiest thing since the bullet that choked Billy Patterson. Why, that second-story veranda weighs tons and tons. It crashed like thunder. Busted the first-floor porch into smithereens. Broke every window in the house. There's chunks of lumber and splinters of wood scattered up and down Center Street for half a block.
You're not exaggerating, are you? You're not making a mountain out of some trivial accident?
No, sir. Hope to die if I've twisted the facts. Hey, why don't you people put on your hat and stroll over there? See for yourself. It's just like I say. Center Street is cluttered up with debris for half a block in both directions.
Well, what happened?
The doggone second-story veranda collapsed from old age. The pillars were weak.
I believe that. Ruthie and I noticed the place just last week when we were walking past. That upstairs porch that circles the house was sagging in half a dozen places.
Sure. It was bound to happen sooner or later. And it happened tonight. I'm surprised you individuals never heard the crash.
Where were you when it happened?
Standing out in front of the By Joe Picture Show. I was in the Society of Bluetooth Johnson. By George, we were in the 300 block on South Center in 2 seconds.
Looks like we did miss some excitement.
Missed half your life. Come on, slap on your hat. We'll go over there.
Oh, it's all over and done with now.
Probably still a crowd of people hanging around, though. No fooling. To look at that house, you think it got caught between 9 cyclones.
Uh-huh.
Come on, Duff. You and me will hike to Center Street.
I'd like to beg off, Arthur. It's too warm an evening to work myself up over a porch falling off a house.
Okay.
Certainly a good thing nobody got injured.
Yes, indeed.
I remember the place you're talking about very well. Just last week, Ruthie and I walked past. Seems to me she passed some remark. Look how that old upper-story porch sags or something.
Peculiar Rooster didn't give you the details when he come after Rotten Suitcase. Guess he was too excited.
Well, what was his big hurry for his brother's suitcase when there was so much free entertainment going on?
Oh, gosh. I haven't told you about Rotten yet.
What did Rotten do?
Rotten Davis, Gov, had the most magnificent evening of his entire career.
How so?
He made off to the crowd. It was his fault the house collapsed.
Huh?
You should have seen him. He was running back and forth in front of the ruins screaming. I lost my temper, he kept yelling. I lost my temper. Yeah.
You mean
he was making a public spectacle out of himself, yeah. 5 minutes after the big crash, about 200 people were on the spot. They didn't know what happened. They just saw this house all busted to pieces and lumber laying around every place. And here was Rotten Davis, tearing his hair and rushing around crazy. I lost my temper, he kept screaming. I lost my temper.
The people got the notion Rotten had lost his temper and torn the whole house down?
Sure, they got that notion.
Oh, my.
It was a magnificent thing to witness. The crowd opened up an alley for Rotten to run back and forth in. And he run back and forth in it till who laid the chunk. I lost my temper, he hollered. I lost my temper, and look what I've done. Remember now, the house looked like it had been hit by a cyclone. An innocent bystander guess it'd take 9 men, 8 days to do that much damage.
Oh, my.
Rotten Davis seen his opportunity and grabbed it. He had that enormous throng of people in the palm of his hand. If he'd looked tough at any of them, they'd have started for home 90 miles an hour. Oh, it's wonderful. Wonderful, I tell you.
If I had a boy that was such a smarty show-off, I bet I'd...
And Rooster worked hand in glove with him. Rooster deserves 50% of the credit for his brother's sensational hoax.
I was going to inquire, what did Rooster want with the suitcase?
Wanted it to take back to Rotten. It's all plastered up with foreign labels, you know. Foreign labels impress the general public. Soon as Rotten got hold of that suitcase, he started running between the divided crowd of people with it. I told you they separated and left him space to run back and forth in, didn't I? Made kind of a lane for him. Well, he'd run from one end of the lane to the other. When he got to one end, he'd stop and set down his suitcase. Then he'd give the people a chance to read the foreign labels. Nome, Alaska, London, England, Paris, France, Rotterdam, Holland, Brussels, Belgium, Stockholm, Sweden, and so on. All the time, he kept hollering he'd lost his temper and torn down a house. Then he'd pick up his suitcase and run to the other end of the lane. Do the same thing over again. I lost control of my temper, he screamed. I lost control of my temper and tore down this house in 3 minutes with my bare hands.
His mother ought to take him by the coat collar.
And let me tell you another trick he used to heighten the effect. He was wearing goggles. When he sent Rooster after his suitcase, he also had him stop by home and pick up an aviator's helmet and goggles that used to belong to some friend of his that owned a motorcycle. Oh, it was magnificent, God.
I bet it was.
Carrying his suitcase all plastered up with foreign labels and wearing an aviator's helmet on his head with the goggles pulled down over his eyes and running back and forth like he'd gone crazy.
I lost my temper. I lost my temper.
Yeah.
For a boy that's almost a grown-up man.
And every once in a while, he'd holler to Rooster. Hey, he'd holler, how many bodies have they found so far? And Rooster, he was back in the shadows, would put on a deep voice and answer, 6 so far, 7 so far, 8 so far, you know.
Ain't he going on 19 years old, Rush?
Rotten, yeah.
Well, imagine a boy 19 years old behaving.
Mom, he had the most magnificent evening of his entire career.
I'd give him the most magnificent.
Oh, and another feature that was dandy. 3 young ladies he likes were in the crowd. 3 very handsome young ladies he's ambitious to escort to the picture show and places were present.
I bet he's their hero now.
Oh, boy.
You seem to have had just about as satisfactory an evening as Rotten did.
I had a delightful evening. A delightful evening.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block.
Hello, Duffy's where the elite meet to eat. Archie the manager speaking. Duffy ain't here. Hello, Duffy. Tonight, Ida Lupino. Huh? Oh, yeah, gorgeous. He's got him why she needs him. Yeah, what the English would refer to as a ripping tomato. Yeah, she's got histrionic talent, too. Huh? Histrionic talent. Duffy, remember how Gypsy Rose Lee used to pack him in at the 14th Street Burlesque? Well, histrionic talent is when a dame can do that with her clothes on. Lupino, she's been an actress ever since she was a little trike. Huh? Yeah, her family's been in the acting racket for over 500 years. Huh? Even before Eddie Cantor. What am I doing? I'm dramatizing my book, Duffy's First Reader for the movies. Huh? Well, I want to get it done in a hurry, Duffy, before the book becomes a classic. Huh? A classic. You know, that stuff in little print with no pictures that nobody reads. Yeah, that's a classic. Well, Duffy, I'll call you back. Okay.
Mr. Archer?
Yeah, Eddie?
You remember the fella what sent in one of them new silver pennies instead of a dime for your book?
Yeah, Brooke.
Yeah, he returned the book. He wants his penny back.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe 10 cents is too much for the book. You know?
Oh, no. The price is low enough.
You think that price is low enough, huh?
Yeah, that's low enough. It's just the book ain't worth it.
And pray, how do you know? Did you read it?
Did you read it?
I wrote it.
That's why I didn't read it.
Fine friend you are. Can't spend a dime for one lousy book. Just wait till Paramount buys it.
Duffy's First Reader will be Paramount's last picture.
Eddie, don't be so skeptic. Wait until you see Ida Lupino in my picture.
Ida Lupino?
Certainly, I'm considering her for the part.
Who you gonna consider after she turns it down?
Okay, forget it, Eddie. I'm a jerk. Okay, Eddie, I'm a jerk.
Okay.
At least we agree on something. Let me tell you that this story is bound to make a great picture, you know. It's about love.
Love. I hate love.
Miss Duffy, you of all people rapping Cupid.
What does it mean, love? I curse the day I ever whistled at a fella.
What's the matter? Did you have a fight with your boyfriend, Breckenbridge Hartzenfelder?
Archie, do not mention the name Breckenbridge Hartzenfelder in the same breath with mine.
That much wind I ain't got. But what did he do to you?
He's a faithless two-timer.
Oh, other girls, hmm?
Sunday, another girl. Monday, another girl. Tuesday, another girl. Thursday, another girl.
What happened Wednesday?
I had a date.
Duffy, you give a guy sauce for the goose, he's gonna go out and take a gander.
But he kissed those ganders goodnight.
Oh, didn't you kiss your date goodnight?
Purely for patriotic reasons. He was a sailor.
You mean you wouldn't have kissed him if he was a civilian?
Only if he was a citizen of the United States.
Or if he had his first papers. Now, let me alone, Miss Duffy, please.
Hello,
What's the matter, Finnegan? You look bloated.
I'm full of soup. I've been eating soup all day.
Soup? Why?
I'm collecting empty tin cans for the salvage drive.
Finnegan, couldn't you think of any other way of doing it?
I tried another way, Arch, but the tuna fish like just tastes bad.
Finnegan, how much of the stuff did you eat?
Only my quota, 30 change.
Well, it's very patriotic, Finnegan, but you know what the government really needs these tin cans.
As I understand it, they are endeavoring to obtain the labels to relieve the paper shortage.
They want the tin to make into the steel. And you know what steel becomes after it is molten.
Tuna fish.
Look, Finnegan, the thing to do is to take the tins, clean them, flatten them out, then the government takes them and they melt them, they smelt them, and then they turn them into munitions.
They should have smelt them after the tuna fish were done.
All right, Finnegan, I'll try to save all our tin cans for you then.
Oh, thanks very much, Jack. Say, by the way, I hear you wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
That seems kind of silly. Ain't it cheaper to buy one?
Miss Duffy, will you stop worrying about Breckenridge? How come you never made a pass at our crooner, Johnny Johnson, by the way?
And what is there about him to interest me?
Well, he's wearing your favorite costume, pants.
Yeah, and he ain't bad looking.
Yeah, and he ain't married. Just your type.
Mr. Johnston.
Yes?
A man with your looks, why is it you stay single?
Well, Miss Duffy, why do you stay single?
That is aside to the point. I should think you could find, say, some nice girl, say, a nice, really pretty girl, say, one whose father owns this place.
Miss Duffy, your father owns this place.
Johnny, is this a proposal?
No.
Well, you'll have to give me time to think it over. Go ahead and say.
I heard you cried last night, and I know why. I heard you cried last night, and so did I. Why did you make us part? I'm so alone. Why did you take my heart? You didn't want it for your own. And if you hadn't cared to make amends, I might have never dared. We'd be just friends. So calm your fears, dry your tears, kiss the boy you adore. Now you can smile tonight and cry no more. And if you hadn't cared to make amends, I might have never dared. We'd be just friends. So calm your fears and dry your tears. Come kiss the boy you adore. Now you can smile tonight and cry no
Great, Johnson, really great.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, that was beautiful. By the way, do you happen to know a song called Oh, Promise Me?
Pay no attention to her, Johnny. She's a little Cupid stupid. Hey, wait a minute. Ain't that Ida Lupina coming in? Yeah. Well, Miss Lupino, we bid you bon voyage to Duffy.
Thank you, Duffy.
Duffy?
Well, aren't you Duffy?
Perish forbid. My name is Archie. I'm the manager here. How do you like the place?
Very interesting. Who desecrated it?
We desecrated it ourselves. Part of it in honor of you, by the way. Observe the little English flag stuck in every dill pickle.
Well, I'm glad to see that the Union Jack still rules the bride, eh?
Yeah, I agree with you. You see, we tried to make the place look like a ye olde.
A what?
You know, a ye olde. Ye old inn, ye old coffee house.
You ought to get rid of some of this ye old air.
Miss Lapino, this air is air conditioned.
Yes, but I've never seen air in quite this condition.
Well, the furnace has to be raked. You know, as you English would say, there is not enough smoke going up the chutney. Pardon us. Sit you doing, lass? Would you care for a tuppence of tea?
We generally say spot of tea.
Spotted, huh? Well, if you want to be sloppy about it. Tell me, would you like your tea with or without tippins?
Oh, always with tippins.
Okay, Eddie, 2 tippins. And slice them.
And while we're waiting for the tippins, may I have a cup of tea?
Well, of course. Pray allow me to dip the bag. Would you care for some cream?
Yes, please.
Well, we ain't got none. You'll have to take Hajimai's note.
Well, that's better than pasturated.
Pasturated? What some English do to their own language? In the meantime, would you care for a little snack?
Well, don't you think we ought to eat first?
Okay. Eddie, fill me a flounder, please.
Good old flounder coming up.
Well, that sounds appetizing. Oh.
What's the matter?
This fillet looks rather unusual.
You see, Eddie, I told you. When you fill your fish, that's the part you throw away.
You can believe me, of that fish, you still got the best part.
Oh, quiet, Eddie. Now, Ida, about my book, Duffy's First Reader, you know.
Oh, yes, your book. What's it about?
Well, it's a story of my life, my biology.
You mean your autobiology?
Autobiology is what you write after you are dead.
Well, I was a little ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, here. Take a look at the book. Read some of the funny stuff, the cracks.
In marriage, you start off with an armful and wind up with a roomful.
Clever stuff, huh?
No old coward will kill himself.
Well, who cares? The writing field is too crowded already. Besides, my stuff has sort of a cowardly touch. Now, Ida, what I'd like you to play in the screen version of this book.
Oh, dear. I know I'm going to wake up in a minute and it'll all be over.
Look, this is a breakbeat. You know, you've been making them A pictures for a long time, ain't you? Stick with me and you'll be up there making B's.
Well, how can I turn it down? How can I turn it down?
Well, listen, you can stand a good peak picture.
What about billing?
Billing? We'll charge everything to the studio that buys it.
Archie, how will our names appear on the screen?
How will our names appear? Well, I'm willing to be fair about it. We'll make it in alphabetical order.
But your name begins with an A.
What a coincidence.
Well, shake hands with Ida Lupino.
Okay. Well, now leave us run through this conversation. Eddie, McDuffie, hey, Bunzel.
Yes?
Bunzel, I want you to be the guy who describes all the stuff that happens, you know?
Oh, you mean the narrator? Will my face appear on the screen?
Well, that I don't know about. You see, this picture may be in Technicolor and with your complexion.
Why, what's the matter with my complexion?
Harry, Green has gone to war.
Archie.
Yeah, Ida.
Do you think this atrocity will make a picture?
Look, they made a love story out of the life of Henry VIII. His whole life, he only had 6 dames. With me, that's a slow Saturday night. So don't worry about it. Now, everybody set with their parts? Right. Okay, Weston, ready with the orchestra?
Right.
Okay, quiet on location. Action, camera, roll the sets. Take it, narrator.
We take great pleasure in presenting a preview of that great screen story, This is the Archie. A story adapted from the book, Duffy's First Reader. The first reel of this picture is based on an incident on page 19. Quote, "The well-groomed lover is usually well-dressed." Unquote. Reel 1, a fashionable suburb in the heart of London.
Good morrow, dear lady.
Well, if it isn't Beau Archie, the bum Brummel. Come in.
It is a lovely morning, dear lady. I've come to take you riding on the hounds.
Oh, what a beautiful riding habit you're wearing. Are those new jodhoppers?
Quick! Set me back a moon and sixpence. But you know me, always piscatorially perfect.
Somebody throw him a fish.
All right, stay in a strip, please.
Oh, Beau Archie, there's a reporter here from the Zip Fashion Weekly who wishes to interview you.
Oh, where is the reporter?
Here I am. Could you give me a statement on
haberdashery?
Yeah, that's right, haberdashery.
Well, haberdashery should always blend. A loud tie should always be worn with a loud chirp. Quiet tie, quiet chirp. Soft tie, soft chirp. No tie, waistcoat.
What his lordship means, sir, is that the trick is not to avoid nothing vulgar.
Correct, me dear Draper Trotted.
Oh, what a lucky bride am I to have the best-dressed man in England choose my torso.
Our author knew the value of clothes to the lover, but not only clothes. Again, page 19, quote, "If you are going to be a successful lover, you got to spend dough. Remember the Chinese saying, 1 buck is worth 1,000 words." Reel 2, a expensive cocktail lounge.
Isn't it, Gwendolyn? Have another salty peanut.
Thank you. It was so sweet of you to buy me these orchids. Quite expensive, won't they?
Tush. What does 60 bob mean to me?
Gad, what a spender.
Right. Gargoyle.
Yes, sir?
A case of bubbly. And, Gargoyle, bring me the check. Oh, please, Gwendolyn, this one's on me. You bought the last round. What is the damage, Gargoyle?
95 tuppence.
95 tuppence, eh? Here you are, 95, 96, 97. Oh, kill the buck.
Thank you, playboy.
Gwendolyn, tonight I'm going to kiss you good night.
Archie, that's so sweet of you. But I think you've done enough for me already.
And now our author turns to, quote, "The choosing of a mate," unquote. The man of perspicacity will be as patriculous of choosing his mate as he will his underwear. Real Free, the home of a very wealthy English chateau. He is sitting alone with his daughter.
Oh, Meta.
Yes, my darling daughter.
I'm so lonely. So lonely.
Okay, I'll go.
Oh, I'm so lonely. If only heaven would send me a dream man. Who are you?
Heaven sent me.
Heaven could have waited.
I don't know our blips, please. Good evening, lovely lady.
My, you're a handsome man.
You are very observant, and you too, fair lady, are beautiful.
Who are you, fair stranger? What is thy name of you?
I am a nobody. Just call me Sir Lockenvachi. What? The curfew. I must hurry up. I must needs catch the 9 o'clock tram.
Oh, no. No, you can't. You mustn't. I'll kill myself. What will become of me and my father's $54 billion?
I'm sorry, but... How much did you say your old man had?
$54 billion.
There must be a later tram.
So we see with what patriculosity our hero chose his mate. And now...
Wait a minute, Harry. Listen, Ida, where are you going? Don't you like this picture?
Well, Archie, I think it's a little too serious. You see, today Hollywood wants escapist pictures.
Escapist pictures, huh? Well, how do we do that?
Well, I'm using the fire escape. You're on your own. Good night.
Wait a minute. Oh, this is horrible. No.
And now on page 19, we will show you why our hero never lost a dame.
Oh, shut up, Harry.
Now, before we leave Duffy's Tavern, leave us put a couple of nickels in Duffy's jukebox. Duffy's jukebox, where the feet meet the beat. Well, the platter's spinning, the needle's in the groove, and here's the first number coming up.
This rebroadcast of Duffy's Tavern was produced in the United States of America.
Meat is the yardstick of protein foods because meat measures up to every protein need. The American Meat Institute presents The Life of Riley, a half hour with radio's friendliest family, and starring William Bendix as Riley. When you buy shoes, you want to know not only what size, but also how well are they made. To get the right kind of proteins into your meals, you must know not only how much, but also how good. Meat is the yardstick of protein foods because meat measures up to every protein need. And now, The Life of Riley. Well, it's a fine spring evening in the suburb of Los Angeles where the Rileys live. War worker Riley has just returned to the bosom of his family and is receiving a communique on current events at home.
Pop, are you going to be busy after dinner?
I don't know, Junior. Why?
Well, you know that rabbit hut you built me?
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to add some guest rooms.
Nothing doing, Junior. When I built you that hutch, I explained to you that it was only for one rabbit.
I know, Pop, but you should explain it to the rabbit.
Say, how's about starting dinner, Dumpling?
Just a minute, dear. What's your hurry?
I'm just using strategy. Just once I want to reach for some meat without getting slashed by your Uncle Baxter.
How you exaggerate. Uncle Baxter isn't a big eater. Of course, he does like to nibble now and then.
Yeah, I seen the way he nibbles. This morning there was a foxhole in the chocolate cake.
Well, last night he had a headache. He thought a bite to eat would draw the blood from his head.
What we need is something to draw his head from the icebox.
Oh, hello, Daddy.
Hello, Dad.
Dad, what were you talking about when I came in?
Well, I was saying that your mother's uncle is...
Never mind, Riley.
No free speech anymore.
Well, my dear children.
Hello, Uncle Baxter.
Now, don't tell me it's dinner time already.
We don't have to tell you. You got a stomach with a built-in clock.
Yes, working outdoors certainly does sharpen one's appetite.
Yeah. Uncle Baxter, tell me one thing. Did you pull up them weeds in the backyard?
No, but I did something more important. I counted them.
You counted them?
Precisely. The breeding habits of weeds fascinate me. There are 82 more weeds today than there were yesterday.
Uncle Baxter, you promised Riley you'd weed the Victory Garden for him.
Oh, and so I shall. Next week. Until then, I shall be busy writing an article for Better Homes and Gardens entitled, Take Heed, the Weed.
Baxter, if you don't get a job pretty soon, you're going to find moss growing on you. And then I'll write an article entitled, Take Hold, the Mold.
For goodness sake, stop bickering, you two. Oh, I almost forgot, Uncle Baxter. Here's a letter came for you.
Oh, for me? Well, it's from my brother Buckley in New York. Excuse me, I must see what good old Buckley has to say.
Oh, what's Uncle Buckley say?
We'll see as soon as I find my glasses.
If I know that big mouth, he'll have plenty to say.
Now, Riley, you only met Uncle Buckley once at our wedding.
What a chiseler. I invite him to the wedding. He eats all the sandwiches, drinks all the charged water, dances with all the dames. Then for a wedding present, he offers me a free chance on a punch board.
He meant to buy us a real gift later on, but, you know, with Uncle Buckley, he'd have $1,000 one day and nothing the next day.
Now, I met him at Marsden the next day.
Children, great news. My brother Buckley's shift has come in at last. Listen to this. Dear Baxter, glad to hear how well you are doing with the Rileys.
What he means is how well you are doing, the Rileys.
I am now president of $1 million concern which is rapidly expanding. Could let you in on the ground floor. Wish you were here to discuss. But, of course, you have your own large affairs to think of.
That's the way it always was with Buckley. Have $1,000 one day and $1 million the next. Hey, Baxter, if you was in New York, he'd give you a good job, wouldn't he?
Yes, he does seem eager to have me by his side.
Uncle Baxter, I just had one of my greatest ideas. Seeing that Uncle Buckley needs you, why don't you go to New York?
What, and leave you all to shift for yourselves? Oh, no, I couldn't be so selfish.
But, Uncle Baxter, if it meant a new start for you, we wouldn't mind your going.
We'll be brave.
But, children, this little nest has become home to me.
This little nest will not miss one little bird. A vulture. It would be the making of you, Uncle Baxter. New York. What a town. The Empire State. The Waldorf Astoria. The Fulton Fish Market.
But, Riley, Uncle Baxter hasn't enough money to go to New York.
But he's going to have.
How?
I've got a little dough saved up, and I'm going to use it to start Baxter climbing up the ladder of success to Uncle Buckley's ground floor. What do you say?
Oh, Riley, that's a wonderful idea.
You know, it does sound attractive.
Huh? By Jove, I'll do it. Boy, Uncle Baxter. Right after Grub, you and me are going downtown and buy a ticket on the fastest train they've got. Boy, we've been in line here for 3 hours.
You're next, Riley. Go on, speak up.
Yes, what is it, please?
We want a reservation for New York.
A drawing room will do.
On your fastest train.
What year do you want to go? The best trains are sold out months in advance. Next, please.
Have you any trains going to New York? Any trains at all?
Anything with a lower berth?
Berth? We haven't even got a chair for 3 weeks.
But, my dear fellow, I've got to get to New York immediately. There must be some way.
Sure. Can you operate a hand car?
Hey, Bud, how about a bus for New York?
There's anything with seats in.
Hey, Joe, here's a guy who wants a seat to New York.
Riley, have pity. We've been all over town. There's no way to get to New York.
Maybe you could take a trolley. Keep asking for transfers. Look, there's a place. The Crow Flies Travel Bureau.
I am not going to New York by crow.
Look at that sign. Go east by bus. Only $21. Come on, let's try this.
This shabby place? How can they get me to New York for $21?
Well, this guy can do it cheap because he's down at the basement and he ain't got no overhead except the street.
Well, what'll it be, gents? The Crow Flies Travel Bureau at your service?
Riley's my name. My uncle here wants to go to New York by bus.
New York, eh?
Yeah.
You mean New York, New York?
Yeah, right outside of Brooklyn.
Well, I'll get you to New York in a jiffy.
I mean, for $21?
Absolutely.
I don't believe it.
Uncle, you're practically standing right in Times Square. Now, let's see. Where are we now?
Well, that's a nice way to start. We're in Los Angeles.
Okay. We start from Los Angeles, and we jump you over to Potholder, Texas.
Texas, so far south.
Texas. There's a place I always wanted to see. Uncle Baxter, you're a lucky guy. And from Texas, he goes right to New York. Huh?
Well, practically. In Texas, he hops a different bus, which shoots him right through to Painted Hat, Oklahoma, where he has a 4-day hangover.
Boy, Uncle Baxter, you'll be seeing America through bloodshot eyes.
4 days? Well, can't you get me quicker connection?
Why, sure, Uncle Cycly. I can reroute you to Wishing Well, Missouri, which will save you 20 minutes. Then, only 3 days later, we whisk you over to Pig's Eye, Kentucky.
Pig's Eye. There's a place I always wanted to see. The Old South.
Yep, and from Kentucky, the next jump is up the good old Mississippi River.
Ain't that romantic? A bus up the Mississippi. Can he leave tomorrow?
Sure, but it ain't a bus, it's a boat.
I can't ride on a boat, I'd be seasick.
Why, just think of them moonlight nights on the Mississippi. With the banjo twanging and the nice cool glass of that crinoline. Uncle Baxter, you'll be a new man when you get off the boat in Chicago.
Riley, the Mississippi does not run through Chicago.
Well, that's right. The boat takes you up to Cairo, Illinois. And, get this, man, no waiting at all. I shoot you up the Ohio River on a launch. But. And in no time at all, you're safe and sound in Custer's Crossing, Missouri.
No crow ever flew like this.
No, but now you're in Custer's Crossing. And don't forget, this trip is only $21.
Yes, I know, but how, may I ask, do I get out of Custer's Crossing?
Can you row a boat, Uncle?
No, I cannot row a boat. I want a bus to get here to New York.
New York? Ain't that kind of an out-of-the-way place? Look, I'm sorry, mister. We don't have any connections for it in Custer's Crossing. Don't forget, there's a war going on.
Then I'll wait till it's over.
You can't do that. Uncle Buckley's waiting for you in New York.
Riley, when you can offer me a direct route to New York, I will go. Until then, I will be forced to remain in your small and not too comfortable guest room.
Ain't them relatives murder, Mr. Riley?
Yeah, he's been a grindstone on my neck for 2 years.
Well, come here.
What?
Listen. For $5, I know a voodoo woman who'd sell you go-away powders. They're great on relatives.
Oh, no, thanks just the same.
Look, why don't you just lock them out?
I couldn't do that. You see, he done me a favor once. 2 years ago, he gave me a pint of blood.
Yeah?
And ever since then, he's been taking it by drop by drop.
Time out from the life of Riley. This is Ken Niles as spokesman for your meat industry. Today, if you took a trip through farm country in almost any part of our nation, you would see lush spring grasses growing taller and richer, the green fields of the western ranges, the bluegrass of Kentucky, clover and alfalfa, and dozens of other forage crops in field and pasture. There, growing in those fields, is an important part of your next winter's food supply. No, nobody is planning to make you eat grass or clover or alfalfa. The finely bred meat animals of our country's ranges and pastures and farmyards turn this grass into roasts and steaks and chops. Cattle, sheep, and hogs make grasses into meat. Some livestock, then, is fed grains and other finishing feeds before they move on to market, onto the bridge, which is your meat industry. On that bridge, they are changed into fresh meat, canned meat, ham and bacon, sausage, lard, and into hundreds of byproducts needed both for industry and for war. Off the bridge, that is the meat industry, they move through the retailers to your homes or to the military depots that ship food on to our fighters. In bridging the gap between the livestock producers and civilian needs for meat in times of peace, your meat industry has built itself strong enough to serve the needs of both workers and fighters in time of war. And now back to the life of Riley. 24 hours have passed, but to Riley it only seems like a year because Uncle Baxter is still on his hands.
Don't take it so hard, Riley. Something may turn up.
I don't know, Dumpling. All day long at the plant, I couldn't get it out of my mind. I was working on a big bomber, and I kept thinking if only I could smuggle that plane out of the plant, we could fly Uncle Baxter to New York.
Smuggle out a big bomber? Daddy!
I know it's a nutty idea. Where you going to get gas today, huh?
Hey, Pop, famous. Look at Mom. Our family gets mentioned in the paper.
Oh, what's it say to me?
It's in the special notes. It says, Baxter Turnbull, prominent West Coast magnate, will be super chiefing at L.A. today to join his brother Buckley Turnbull, well-known New York industrialist.
Super chiefing out. He ain't even bussing out.
Pop, what's this West Coast magnate?
That's another name for Santa Monica beachcomber. Look at them suitcases of Baxter's. Standing there so near the door. So near and yet still here.
Hey, Pop, there must be some way to get Uncle Baxter out of town.
Not a chance. One time I even thought of trying to mail him back.
What an idea. He'd be covered with stamps.
He wouldn't cost so much. Third class.
He'd have to go first class. He's writing on him. He's got memories of Mabel tattooed on his chest.
Well, my dear children.
Junior, hide your piggy bank. Here comes that West Coast magnet.
Well, children, I've tried all day. Still no transportation. So if I stay a few more weeks, you won't think I'm imposing, will you?
Well, since you can't get away, you're welcome to stay, Uncle Baxter.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Riley.
I didn't say nothing.
Be serene, Riley. Count your blessings. Well, I'll unpack my bags again, eh? Call me when dinner's ready, won't you?
Just unpack some pajamas and a toothbrush. I ain't given up hope yet. I sure thought next time them bags moved, I'd see him going the other way.
Well, Babs, help me carry the dinner into the dining room, will you?
Yes, Mother. You, Riley, it's me, Waldo Benny.
Oh, Waldo, come on in. Hey, Waldo, how come that wife of yours let you out of the house?
Riley, when you got a wife like mine, you got to use strategy. Yeah. This is the night she plays gin rummy with her Aunt Duffy. And you know what I did?
No, what?
This afternoon, I stole the ace, king, and jack. So they had to send me out for a new deck of cards.
That's using the old noggin, Waldo.
Oh, I've been doing that for almost a year now. I always take different cards. Pretty soon I'll have a whole deck of my own, and then I can play solitaire.
Waldo, when a man's outnumbered at his house, he gets to be pretty foxy, huh?
Riley, I came to offer my sympathy. I hear your uncle isn't leaving after all.
The 7-year itch is still with us.
Riley, I have a way to get your uncle out of town.
Waldo, if you can show me how to get Baxter a trip to New York, I'll never forget you.
I can do it. I'm an expert on traveling. On account of someday, I'm going to run away myself.
What?
I knew I could never get away on a train or bus. They'd nab me, sure.
Yeah.
So I've kept in touch with another way out.
What way?
Every day of the week, somebody drives back east. Last week, there were 17 departures by auto. This week, it fell off to 12, but then...
Now, never mind how many went. Is there one more going?
Yes. Yes, sir. There's one going tonight, right through to New York. And there's room for one more passenger in that car, Riley.
Waldo, that one more is going to be my Uncle Baxter. Come on, go phone the carpool. Tell him to come and pick up Baxter right away.
Pleasure.
Baxter, come in here. Hey, Ben, quick, come in. Junior, don't unpack them pajamas.
Riley, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Nothing. Everything's changed. Uncle Baxter, goodbye. I mean, listen. I got a way to get you to New York in a guy's car.
But this is so sudden.
Oh, Riley.
Yeah, what's that?
Daddy, what's happened?
Hey, wish Uncle Baxter luck. He's leaving.
I am?
Junior, bring back his bags. He's leaving tonight.
Okay.
Bags, kiss your uncle goodbye. He's going any minute.
Oh.
Uncle Baxter, meet me. This is the smartest decision you ever made. Order, everybody. Now, this here is an important event, and time is getting short. This being a farewell beefsteak banquet, only with lamb stew. We all want to say goodbye to Uncle Baxter. I'll be the toast mixer. Uncle Baxter being guest of honor, we got to let bygones go by and say something nice about him, even if it ain't so. Okay. Now, first, I'm calling on a young lady who has been a member of this family all her life. I think she's kind of cute. I give you my favorite daughter, Miss Babs Riley.
Oh, Daddy, I don't know what to say except, well, Goodbye, Uncle Baxter, and we hope you have a great success in New York, and good luck, and... Oh, dear, I'm really going to miss you, Uncle Baxter.
Thanks, my dear. I'm touched, really.
No weeping until he gets in the car to go. Here, Unc, have a cigar.
Thank you.
Have 2 cigars, one for the trip. Here, let me bite off the end for you, Uncle Baxter.
You overwhelm me, Riley. Now I don't feel like going at all.
Then you better bite off the end yourself. Now, the next speaker is a young man who is a gentleman and not much of a scholar. My favorite son, I give you Chester A. Riley, Jr.
Well, kind of accustomed as I am to public speaking, I just want to say that what the last speaker says is what I want to say. Especially goodbye, Uncle Baxter. I mean, good luck, Uncle Baxter. Oh, wait, I ain't through yet. And I hope you make $1 million with Uncle Buckley.
Thank you, my boy. And in response, I can only...
Wait a minute. It ain't your turn yet. The next speaker is a lady who is not only Uncle Baxter's niece, but is the best cook in 48 states. My favorite wife. I give you Mrs. Peg Riley.
Oh, dear. Well, Uncle Baxter, we've loved having you here with us, and we'll miss you terribly, and I wish you'd change your mind, Uncle Baxter, and stay here.
And now the next speaker. I am now introducing our guest of honor. He's a Harvard man on account of he was kicked out of Yale. Your uncle and mine, I give you, and you can have him, Baxter Turnbull.
Mr. Toastmaster, my dear friends, I am almost at a loss for words. However, since brevity is the soul of wit, I shall only say, for all you've done for me, 1,000 thanks.
One for each meal.
And in appreciation, I have a little gift for each of you. A small expression of my deep affection. Peg, Riley, Bab, Junior. Treasure them till we meet again at our reunion banquet in my penthouse in New York City.
Oh, Uncle Baxter, you bought us all presents?
Well, gee, we didn't expect nothing like this.
Oh, I've got mine unwrapped.
What is it?
Look, it's a picture of Uncle Baxter.
Oh, how nice. I wonder what mine can be. Why, mine's a picture of Uncle Baxter, too.
What's yours, Junior?
A picture of Uncle Baxter. Just what I needed. What's yours, Pop?
What do you think? Uncle Baxter, when we look at your mug, your absence will be missed. And now for my speech. I got a little poem which I wrote up out of my own head. This poem was wrote a year ago so as to be ready for this event when you finally moved out. Let's hear it. Adios, Uncle Baxter. It's time for us to part. There's a great big lump of sadness in the middle of my heart. Farewell, dear Uncle Baxter. It's time to say goodbye. But if you say you're going to stay, I'll poke you in the eye.
Hey, Pop, there's the car out there.
Yeah, come on, Baxter. Get his bags, Junior.
Here's your hat, Uncle Baxter.
No, we're not going to a fire.
Here's your bunch.
Come on.
I'm pulling at my sleeve.
Get in. I'm 4.5 minutes behind my schedule.
Get in, Uncle Baxter.
One moment. Is this the car in which I am to travel 3,000 miles? A small convertible coupe?
What's the difference? It'll be coachier.
Oh, but Riley, it's crowded already. It's full of luggage and people.
Plenty of room. Jump right in.
Am I expected to sit on the lady's lap, sir?
No, Baxter. You sit on the outside because you get off first at 42nd and Times Square.
All right, move over, Bessie. Get in, brother.
Yeah, go on, get in, Baxter.
I am endeavoring to wedge myself in, Riley. Madam, I am Baxter Turnbull.
We got plenty of time to get acquainted. Shut the door, brother.
I'll shut it. There you are, Uncle Baxter. Here, hold your suitcase on your lap there. Okay, mister.
Give on up, Uncle Buckley. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Uncle Baxter. Goodbye, Uncle Baxter. Hold your hat crossing the Rockies. waving no more, Dumpling. The car's out of sight. I'm going in the house now and count the rooms.
Riley, you know, it's going to seem strange without him.
Yeah. Listen. Ain't the house nice and quiet? And look, my Morris chair. Now any time I want to sit in it, I can walk to it without having to race him for it.
Oh, dear.
I got to get acquainted with my Morris chair all over again. Good evening, Morris. My name's Riley. Remember me?
Well, for goodness sake, talking to an old chair.
Morris understands me, okay? This is living. He's gone. The leech who just dropped in for a couple of days and stayed 2 years. Peg, the door. The door, he's back.
Why, he can't be.
He didn't like that car. He made them bring him back.
I'll see what it is.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot him.
Oh, hello. Relax, Pop. It ain't Uncle Baxter.
Oh, boy, what a relief. Who is it, Junior?
Who is it? Why, Riley, it's me. Your old Uncle Buckley, fresh from New York.
Uncle Buckley, how in the
world? A little surprise for you, my dear children. I just stopped in to spend a couple of days with you. My trunks will be here in the morning. Ah, this is restful.
Hey, look! Already he's got my Morris chair.
The Rileys will be back in just a moment. Perhaps you housewives would like some suggestions on the best point values in meat, which are effective today for the month of May. The American Meat Institute suggests all types of sausage are especially point thrifty. For example, pork sausage makes a fine meal served with fried apple rings or cornmeal mush, broiled tomatoes, or orange slices. Bacon, too, is something you can use more of now that it's going to remain only 1 point a pound during the month of May. You can have it with your breakfast pancakes or waffles, or wrap it around your meat patties, or use it as a part of a main dish for luncheon or dinner. Pork is one of the best ways of getting more B vitamins into our diet. And pork, like all meats, is an excellent source of the right kind of proteins, the kind that do so much for growth and tissue rebuilding. Yes, meat is the yardstick of protein foods, because meat measures up to every protein need. All statements regarding the nutritional value of meat made on this program are accepted by the Council on Foods and Nutrition of the American Medical Association.
Well, now that you've finished supper, Uncle Buckley.
Oh, excuse me, my dear niece. I'll just have another piece of your delicious pie.
Another piece?
Be serene, Riley. Count your blessings. Wonderful wife you have. Wonderful pie she bakes.
But, Uncle Buckley, you still haven't told us why you came to Los Angeles.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Well, the way I see it, New York is finished. Done. Soon it'll be a veritable ghost town. The future belongs to the Great West.
Uncle Buckley, what about that $1 million business you had in New York? What
business?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. When you see, my dear Riley, my correspondence in that concern was voluminous. Tremendous. When postal rates went up recently, it wiped out my entire reserve.
Uncle Buckley, we might as well start right now. We can't invite you here with us more than a couple of days. We ain't going to have room.
Oh, my dear fellow, I'll just rough it in Baxter's old room.
Oh, you won't, Uncle Buckley. The only reason we kept your brother Baxter in that room for 2 years, he done me a big favor once. He give me a pint of his blood 2 years ago.
His blood? It will interest you to know that 4 years ago, I gave Baxter a pint of blood. Yes, indeed. As I see it, you have my blood in your veins, nephew Rocky.
Hey, you hear that? For 2 years, Baxter's been making me pay for that blood. And all the time, he was nothing but the middleman.
Uncle Baxter's gone, but it looks like Uncle Buckley will be an even sharper thorn in Riley's side. Follow The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix and sponsored by the American Meat Institute, next week at this same time. Uncle Baxter was played by Hans Conried. The program was directed by Don Bernard with music by Lou Kosloff. William Bendix appears by arrangement with Hal Roach. This is Ken Niles inviting you to share The Life of Riley once again next week.
The makers of Postum, the favorite mealtime drink in 3 million American homes, present your favorite radio friends, Lum and Abner.
For Pete's sake, do I have to wait for dinner again? Can't we ever eat on time in this house?
Now, I'm sure you know who that is. It's the perpetual grouch. But don't be too hard on him, because you know at heart he's just as human as you and I. It's his indigestion that makes him so bad-tempered, and the cause may be coffee. Although many people can drink coffee without ill effect, there are many others who cannot. If you suspect that the caffeine in coffee is affecting you, drink Postum instead of coffee. Postum contains no caffeine or other stimulant to upset your digestion. It's made of whole wheat and bran, skillfully roasted and slightly sweetened. Served steaming hot, Postum is the most delicious drink you ever tasted. It has a rich, full-bodied flavor all its own, a flavor that has made Postum the favorite mealtime drink of 3 million American families. And it's economical, too. It costs less than 1/2 cent a cup. Get Postum from your grocer tomorrow. Drink it at every meal and see if your digestion isn't better, if you don't feel better all over. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum has practically forsaken the Jot 'em Down store to devote his time and energy to the Pine Ridge Motion Picture Company. He hopes by producing his own picture to attain the success he had hoped for in Hollywood. As head of the new enterprise, the old fellow is now busy making all arrangements to start production as soon as their camera arrives. As we look in on the little community today, we find Grandpappy Spears over at the Jot 'em Down store talking with Abner. Listen.
Yeah, well, whereabouts is Lum at now?
Why, he left here a while ago, Grandpap, to go out and sign up some actors. That Camry will be here tomorrow. I got an invoice on it this morning.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to sign up the whole town if he gets enough fellers out there to make it look like a war.
Oh, well, he's done changed his mind now. It ain't going to be no war picture. He was talking here the other day about getting some camels and elephants and one thing and another, and then found out how much it'd cost, and he gave up the idea.
What's he signing up the actors for, then?
Oh, he's going to make another kind of a picture now. A love story, I believe he called it.
Well,
he's going to be the hero in it and have Hortense Brogan. He's going to save her life. I always want to call her Catherine. Swan, that Lum can figure out more ways to save that girl.
Well, what's he got to save her for?
Why, to make a hero out of himself. That's all he can think about. He was going to have her drowned in and then jump in and save her, but he happened to think that he couldn't swim, so he scratched that out, and now he's trying to think of something else.
He better be careful. He's liable to get himself hurt.
Oh, sure.
That's right. I don't know what's got into Lum here lately. He just ain't himself hardly.
I know it. He just went hog wild on the subject of moving pictures. Just to be honest, I think he's going Hollywood. Or going Pine Ridge, I reckon you'd call it now, that we're making pictures, too.
Well, I think somebody ought to just sit down and talk to Lum.
Well, try and sit down and talk to him. He can't sit still long enough to eat, hardly. nervous as a rabbit's nose. Well, I reckon it is a lot of bother trying to make all arrangements to get started and all. Oh, well, so most of us could all know. He's heard how busy all them big directors out there in Hollywood is, and he thinks that he ought to be that way, too.
Well, he's going to lose all his friends if he ain't careful, or have a nervous breakdown one.
Well, I don't think he's going to lose no friends over at Grandpap. Most everybody around here understands Lum, or ought to by this time anyway.
Yeah.
He means well, but he just gets too enthusiastic over things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lum Edwards is a funny feller. Ain't another like him nowhere.
No, not there, nothing, no.
Honest, just as honest as the day is long. Got a lot of sense till he gets some wild idea in his head.
Mind out, Grandpap.
What's the matter?
Look.
Cedric, we haven't been over here. Here. Howdy, Grandpap.
No, he ain't, Lum. Ain't been in.
Grannies, I wish that boy'd get located someplace and stay there. Here I am trying to write a scenario and get the actors together and everything else, and I can't find my secretary. I bet you, Grannies, I had 1,000 pint mints and conferences for today, and he's got the book.
Well, who was you supposed to see?
I don't know. That's what I got to find him for. Let me sit down here. I'm bored to death.
Yeah, sure. Sit down, Lum.
I don't know what time I put down I was supposed to eat dinner or lunch. Don't know where it was 12 o'clock or 1. And I'm about to starve to death.
Well, it ain't 12 yet.
It ain't now.
No, 10... 11 minutes to is what it is.
Well, if I'm going to eat at 12, I ought to be starting over at the restaurant right now.
Well, don't jump on me about it. I don't care when you eat. If I was hungry, I'd go on over and eat. That's what I'd do.
Well, that just shows right there what you know about running a big business. Maybe I ain't got time to eat. I don't know.
Well, does Cedric have to tell you when to eat now?
He's got the book with all my pint mints in it.
Yeah.
Did you hire some actors, Lum? No, I ain't yet. That's another thing I want to do with Cedric. Want him to call Squire Skimp and make appointment for him to see me. Have a conference with him.
You're going to give Squire part in the picture, too, huh?
No, but I've got to see him before I can hire anybody. Well, what's he got to do with it? Well, I just found out he's already went around and signed up everybody in town to let him manage them.
Well...
He's their agent, and I've got to hire him through him.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Well, that's all right. It's a good idea, I think. That way I can just see Squire when I want to hire somebody and won't have to look him up.
Go ahead.
I want 15 Chinesemen for a picture. All I got to do is call him and order him.
Well, he ain't got no Chinesemen signed up, has he?
No, not that I know of, but it's up to him to get them if I want them. Is this picture you're making now going to be about China, Lum? No, I just saying if I want them.
Oh, well, are you still aiming on tying that hortense brogue into that railroad track and saving her?
No, that's too dangerous. I've got a better idea now. I have her up in a 10-story building and it's on fire and all ready to cave in, and I'm going to climb up there and save her.
Climb up there?
Well, go up a ladder.
10 stories?
I think that would be pretty long ladder, wouldn't it?
Well, I'd think so.
Hey, where are you going to get a 10-story building, Lum?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, ain't it? Yeah, I was afraid that idea wouldn't work. How would it be for me to take the part of a scientific that invents something that could destroy the whole world, and about the time I got ready to try it out, I fall in love with this hortense, and she taught me how to use it.
Oh, my God.
And we live happy ever after. I could throw the stuff in the ocean where nobody else could get their hands on it.
Yeah, well, that might sound good, except nobody wouldn't believe the story, I don't believe.
Well, I don't know. A feller might invent something like that. And if he did, he could make a lot of money out of it. Make everybody pay him not to use it.
Oh, my goodness, sure. He could make money on it.
Let's see. What could a feller mix up together that'd do that? Dynamite ought to have some.
Yeah.
What else explodes?
Well, powder, gunpowder.
Yeah, and lots of nitrous glycerine. I reckon this fella might sure enough think up something that...
Now, Lum, Dad, blame it, don't start trying to invent something like that.
Well, why not? Make more money out of that than you can making moving pictures.
Yeah, and you get to messing around mixing up a bunch of them explosives and you about blow up the whole town. And yourself with it.
That's right. That stuff is dangerous.
Why, of course it is.
Maybe I better stick to the picture, Artie. Let's see. How would it be if I was...
Wait a minute, there's Squire Skimp coming in there now, Lum.
Good. Just the fellow I want to see. I reckon I can go right ahead and talk to him without no pint man. Be all right.
Why, sure, you're both here.
Well, here, you fellas want to talk business, Lum. I think I'll scatter on out of here. Oh, that's all right, Grandpap. Nothing secrets about it.
Why, no.
Well, I've got to get on over the place anyway. The woman's more than likely got victuals ready. I'll see you fellas later.
All right, Grandpap. Come back again.
Yeah, so long. Well, good morning, Grandpa.
Yeah, howdy, Squire. Yeah, come on back, Squire.
Yeah, you're just the fellow I'm looking for, Squire. Yes, they told me over at the barber shop that you want to see me, Lum. Yeah, started out this morning to hire some actors for this picture we're going to make, and everybody I've seen said they'd sign up to let you manage them, and I'd have to talk to you. Yes, I'm acting as agent for about everybody in town that has any possibilities at all, I think. Well, now, just how does that work, Squire? Where do you come in? Well, now, see, I make the deal with the picture company, and then I receive 10% of whatever money they take in.
Well, why would they want to pay you 10%, Squire, if they can get the job anyway?
Well, I'll look after their interest, Abner. See that part in the picture is suitable for them, and see that they receive proper billing and all. So you take a good, smart agent, Abner. He can make a star out of an actor. So I'll take an actor that's making $100 a week now, and I'll have him earning $1,000 a week in a year's time.
You will, huh?
For goodness sake. Why, yes. An agent is not an expense, Abner. He's in a much better position to dicker with the film company than the actor is. Well, in fact, I expect to make a star out of every single one of my clients. That's the slogan that I've adopted. Skimp the maker of stars. Of course, I won't just handle anybody. Unless they show some possibilities, why, I won't waste any time with them.
Well, how about me, Squire? Do I show any?
Why, yes, Abner, yes. I'd say that there's a definite place for you in pictures, yes.
All right, Doggies, I'll sign up with you.
Yeah, me too, Squire. I'm going to be so busy writing the stories and directing the pictures and all that stuff, I ain't going to have time to see that I get the kind of salary for acting I ought to have. Well, now, you men won't... yes, I guess I could handle you if you want me to, yes. In fact, I think I've got a couple of contracts right here in my pocket now, if you gentlemen want to sign them. Well, good. Get them out here. Yeah, we want to sign them. Granny, this is the best idea I've heard yet. You're just the fellow we've been needing. Well, good, Lum. Here. I just sign right down there. And here's one for you, too, Abner. There's a lot of reading on here, ain't there? Well, just the usual form, Lum. There's the paragraph right there where it tells about the 10%. You agree to pay me 10% of your earnings for 1 year. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. There you are. Lum Edwards.
Yeah, here's mine, too, Squire.
Yes, all right, man. Well, I hear I've got to hurry now, but I'll be back over this afternoon and talk to you about salaries in the first picture and all that, you know. All right, Squire. Much obliged. I'll be here all afternoon. Yes, all right, Lum. Good day. Good day.
Yeah, so long. You appear to be in a terrible rush to get out of here. Reckon we rushed into that too quick, Lum?
Of course not. We've got to have an agent. Somebody that'll see that we get every nickel Granny, wait a minute here. We're the ones that own the picture company. We got to pay them salaries ourselves. You know what we've did? We've signed up to pay Squire 10%, so he'll make us pay ourselves more money than we would have paid us if we never had no agent. And on top of that, we got to pay him 10% of all the money we make for a whole year for doing it.
Well, it seems the old fellows will have to confer with Squire Skimp to decide what salary they'll pay themselves. Does your child come rushing in after school and beg for something to eat? Now, it's often a problem to know what to give him, for you don't want to spoil his appetite for supper. Well, here's a suggestion. A cup of steaming postum made with milk. It's just the thing for these raw, chilly days. As you know, the milk you make postum with is good for children. But best of all, from your child's standpoint, is the fact that postum is so downright delicious. It's got a tempting, appetizing flavor that children are just crazy about. For postum is simply whole wheat and bran, skillfully roasted and slightly sweetened. It contains no caffeine or other stimulant that could cause sleeplessness, indigestion, or nervousness. And unlike sweet, cloying drinks, postum won't spoil a child's appetite for solid foods. So get postum from your grocer tomorrow and let your child have postum made with milk anytime he wants it. At meals, between meals. He'll love it. Join us again on Monday evening when Postum again presents Lum and Abner. Lou Crosby speaking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.